So I hadn't planned on doing a video today, but things happen, and here we are. Not two stories. I have two small pieces of business and then a mini rant. We start with one of the pieces of business. There was great response to the video yesterday, and people personally asked me questions, and I thought I'd just answer for everybody in this format. The questions were: did the sun come out? Did it stop raining? Did you get the yard work done? Thank you for your questions. I appreciate them. It stopped raining yesterday noonish, and the sun actually peeked out for about a minute and a half late yesterday afternoon. But this morning, wake up, the clouds are clear. Sun, it's been beautiful like this. Look, beautiful like this all day. Did the yard work this morning. The yard looks, oh, it's nice to have that finished and done with. You don't have to deal with it for another however long. But with all the rain, I wouldn't be surprised if it used to be cut in 3 or 4 days. So thank you for asking. That's the item number one. Item number two, there was a joke yesterday in yesterday's video which didn't go over, and that was my fault. My apologies. It didn't have the proper setup. So what I thought I'd do it here now. We'll do a take two, and if it goes over, I'll edit it into yesterday's video, and it'll work well. Okay, take two, and I don't need to explain it because I'll just go into it and it'll all make sense. Take two. So it has rained here. It rained Saturday, it rained Sunday, it rained Monday. It wasn't the torrential downpours, but it was a steady rain all throughout the day. Now, we didn't have the bad wind like they had down in Florida, though I did have chili for dinner on Sunday night. See, it's important to leave that space in so you can put the rim shot in. Okay, the last item up for bids is the mini rant. This is what happened today. So with the new fence, I was talking to my neighbor. I've got this planter by the driveway, right by the new fence, and it looks old. And I thought, well, I actually moved the fence back. The fence used to be, the old fence was flush with the front of the house. I actually moved it back about 5-6 feet behind the garage door. When I was going to replace it, I thought just do it the same. I thought, well, do I really want it the same? Other people in the neighborhood, they have their fence back. I thought, well, maybe I'll try something different. So that's what I did. I had the fence pushed back about 5-6 feet beyond the door. So this now exposes this planter. So I thought this is an excuse to redo the planter. And I'm talking to a neighbor, and I'm telling her, I said, I think I'll just redo it. I'll do it with something else. And she says, well, why don't you just power wash it? If that's a good idea. Well, I hadn't thought of that, and I have a power washer. The power washer from hell. Now, a brief word about every time I use this power washer, I threaten to just toss it and buy new. Every time I use it, and when I say every time, I don't mean sometimes. I don't mean many times. I don't mean most of the time. I mean every time I use it, it trips a circuit breaker in my basement. I mainly use it for the sidewalk in front of my house. I actually power wash that usually once or twice a year, usually once in the spring. And it's, after about 20 minutes, it trips the breaker in my basement. So I have to go. It's just a bit of a pain. And this happens, not sometimes, not most, every time. In fact, I've done the sidewalks for two of my neighbors. One was like a surprise birthday gift. The other was request. And I said, I'll do them, but I need access to your basement because when I use it, it trips the breaker in my base. So, and sure enough, every time I use it, okay, so we know this. There's a disaster. So today, after doing the yard work, I'm sort of motivated, and so I'm going to power wash just a small planter right by the front yard by the driveway. And so I get out the power washer from hell and I plug it in. And it starts right up. Doesn't always, but it starts right up. I press the gun, the nozzle, and I get very little pressure, like the water like out of the tap, which isn't going to power wash anything. Okay, so what is it? Now, it could be a number of things. There's a little reset switch at the plug, literally at the plug. So that it could be that, the on-off switch on the machine. Sometimes there's not enough water feeding to the machine. Okay, this is the game. This is what we go through when we use the power washer from hell. So I sort of go through the whole thing, and eventually, I got it going. Okay, so this is good. It's a nice sunny day. The yard's done. I'm going to see, and so I get it going, and I get about maybe a third of the way through, and it cuts out. I'm getting nothing. Okay, so I go to the usual suspects, and I go to the plug, the reset button, hit that a bunch of times, like the power button. I check the breaker in the, by the way, the breaker in the basement, I eventually realized that the problem with the breaker, tripping the breaker, was me. When I do the sidewalk, it takes like an hour and a half, hour, 20 minutes to do the whole, I do the sidewalk, I have some brick out front, I clean it all. I gun the thing, and I think because of using it nonstop, that's what trips the breaker. So it occurred to me just the last time or two, don't gun it forever. Just use it for like a minute and then take a break. Use it for a minute. So now I've since learned that. Okay, just don't gun it forever. So I'm getting nothing, but I check all the usual suspects. I go down the basement, I check the circuit breaker, and it hasn't tripped, but I do it anyway, just because you don't know. I go to the plug, the reset button, and I check the pressure. Sometimes you add more pressure, water pressure, and nothing. No matter what I do, I go, that's it. We're done. I'm a man of means. I don't have to deal with this. There's something with the water pressure from the water pressure device from every time. I'm a man of means. Just get new. Enough already. I threaten to do this literally every time I use this. I said, good. I make an executive decision. I'm going to do that. So just to be sure, I give it one last. I go to the plug, hit the reset, and put the water, and the nozzle, and it works just fine. Of course, it works just fine. So the water pressure from hell, it got a reprieve, and I finished the thing, and it actually looks pretty good. So that's it. Just, I hadn't planned on doing this, but, you take out the water pressure machine, and you know what it is? I thought you did. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here. Say it with me on the YouTube.